Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, this is my 1937 Chevy Master Deluxe that we slammed onto an S10 frame with airbags. We're taking it to Rat Stock 2024, and in this video, what I accomplished is putting the front fenders on, the rear fenders on, and getting it outside for the first time since it's been on the chassis. I think it looks awesome, so if you want to watch the build, check it out. I'd appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate the comments. Let me know what you think. Let's get to the build. All right, well, you can see that we still got the fenders off, and that's what we're gonna work on today, is trying to get the fenders on the 37. So I'm gonna probably have to mess around with the frame rail here up front a little bit. I think I need to trim a little bit more to make the front fenders fit, and then we'll get the Doghouse on there. And once we got the front end kind of buttoned up, then I'm gonna build the floor on the inside. So for today, that's the plan. Let's see if we can get some work done. All right, so this is the first I've had it on the ground, on the frame, without the lift under it, and this is where our fenders are gonna sit. So I just got it propped up on 2x4s just so I can keep it where it belongs. I think that our laid out height is gonna be awesome. I looked at my rail for the sill here, and it's saying that actually the rear of the car is almost a half a degree up. And I'm not gonna mess with that. I was thinking about notching the frame there so I could drop that down, but I'm not gonna mess with that. Also, what I realized when we moved the drivetrain back, if I can get down here, you'll see that the lowest point on the vehicle now is the dust cover for the transmission hitting the ground there. So I can't get any lower than that. I can't remove that, obviously. And I'm not moving the drivetrain anymore. So when we are laid out on the frame, transmission is going to be the part that's what's actually hitting the ground. So you can see I got my yoke for my drive shaft there. That's at the shop to get fabricated. And over here, when I tried to put this fender on, what we're running into is, well, I'm going to have to put the camera on the tripod and show you. So let me do that. I'll be back in a sec. All right, so basically, if I try to lift this up, back where it belongs, so I'm hitting the body here. Looks like I'm gonna have to trim off another, well, basically, as far as I can on that frame rail there. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna cut this as close as I can here. Issue is gonna be on this side, my steering box, right? So I can cut that back, I don't know, 1.5 inches more to where this bolt is mounting it. Now I looked into getting, a rack and pinion set up for this, which you can get a bolt-in thing for an S10. Two issues. I don't know where it bolts, and it might not be any better than that because it's kind of a bolt-in thing, and it's also like $1,600. The budget for this is a $5,000 build, so that's kind of out the window unless I was to get a used Mustang 2 something, and then I'd have to redo the front steering. I think I've got enough projects for right now, so what it might involve doing is trimming that as much as I can. And then the steering box is going to poke out a little bit. So I'll have to maybe notch that front fender a little bit just so the front of the steering box is through. Whatever. I mean, I've cut so much of this vehicle away anyways. I'd rather just get it fit and in there so that we can actually get this thing rolling and moving. So first things first, I'm going to cut that end of the frame there, make sure that fender gets on. If I get that one on there and looking good, then we'll come over to this side. All right, well, first cut wasn't enough. I don't know, about 1.5 inches off of there, so cut more. Well, I've trimmed this about as far as I possibly can without getting into my steering here. So we're gonna stop there. There is some inner structure here on the fender. I can trim that back a little bit. That's holding me up a little bit. It keeps bumping into this. So I'm getting there. I'm really close. With some trimming, I think that one will go. This side here is gonna be a huge issue because I'm already, well, if we add these up here, we're got to be close to 2.5 inches that I trim that back. 2.5 brings me to here. So I'm gonna probably trim this one as far as I can, but you're gonna see the end of the steering box through the front of the fender here. Probably just gonna have to do a little notch there in the corner. It's all right, we can camouflage the best we can. We're gonna have a bumper anyways, so I'm gonna trim the inside of that fender to see if we can get it to fit and bolt up there. Well, I'm gonna do one more cut because I'm that close. Well, I cut that as far as I possibly can. Can't go any further on the frame, so I'm hoping that it'll fit. The only other chance that I would have would be to notch the fender. Ain't gonna go. All right, well, I'm closer than I thought. So here is the inner part of the fender, and we are hitting that on the frame, but we're pretty much there. The reason I thought I wasn't lining up, now all I did is I put two bolts in to hold the fender on, just so we could see where it sets. And there's a little tiny gap there, and I think if I was to get the front of the fender down just a little bit more, it would feel, you know, it's going to tip forward, and we're that far off. So there's also this other little thing in here, this little nubbin. If I cut that little nubbin off, I think it'll slide this way. So I think I'm going to try doing that, but dang, I mean, it's hard to see because I'm up against the wall here, but that wheel is centered and that fender is going to be on the ground when I get my running boards. So looks pretty cool, I think. Can't wait to get the rest of the fenders on, see what it actually looks like now that we've got this thing kind of coming together. So I'm going to notch that, see if we can get that fender snugged up, and then, well, we got to deal with that one, and then try and get the doghouse to fit in there as well. So lots more cutting coming up. Well, here we go. All right, so we've got a fender on. I did end up notching this little thing back here. Turns out after it's bolted up, doesn't look like it was in that way that much, but it was holding me up a little bit. I did put a bolt through it, so that pulled it tight. So we're good here. Body line looks okay. I mean, again, it's a RatRod, who cares? So what I'm gonna do now is figure out where does this need to sit and put the doghouse on there. The reason I have it on the lift is it's so low I couldn't even get in there to put the bolts on the fender. So I had to lift it up. Every time I have to do that, I have to jack it up so I can get the hoist arms underneath it, because otherwise it's so low that I can't get the hoist arms on. So that's just whatever. It is what it is. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to put that on. I'm going to bolt it on this side so I can see where does that fender need to go and how much of this am I going to be able to trim off and how much of the steering box is going to be poking through the fender. If I add all these pieces of junk up, it's probably about 3 inches, which means that's probably back here. And well, I don't have a choice. Again, I could find an S10 rack and pinion. I could put it in there, maybe make it rear steer, put it back there somewhere. But again, we are limited by time and budget. So I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to cut the fender and move forward. Just got to keep moving along. So put the doghouse on is the next step. All right, you can see here, fender's mounted. Awesome. You can see it's kind of pinched in here on the bottom. I'm going to have to notch this a little bit so that I can bring this edge of the doghouse over the steering box. And then I'm going to have to notch the fender to go over this area here because the end of the steering box is going to be poking through the fender. No two ways about it. So I'm going to cut this now and then cut the frame and then try and see what we can do with the fender. Okay, car's up in the air. You can see if you look here, I got that fender nice and flat and you can barely see the frame in there. Here you can see that fender's up because it's still bumping into it. If we come around this side, you can see where we're hitting in there. Can't really change the light. There you go. So you can see we're bumping into it, and plus that's where I took the power steering box off of there just because it made it a little easier for me to get in there to cut that bit of the frame off. So what I'm going to do, I think, is we are going to make a little notch like this. You can see I put some marker on there. I think I'm going to make a little notch like that. This will come off, and then I can probably weld it back on with a little bit of a patch just so it sticks out a little bit, so there still will be fender there. I don't know, that's what I'm thinking right now, but I'm a little bit hungry, hangry, sweaty. I'm gonna go inside, take a break, maybe get some lunch. So I'll be back after it. Well, here's the evening update. Nothing has changed because earlier I went in, got lunch, had some running around to do, 2-hour round trip picking my daughter up from volleyball. So didn't get anything else done on the car tonight. So it's just gonna sit here for a little bit. We know exactly what the plan is going forward. So someday later this week, I'm gonna get on that fender, finish it up. And then I'll try and get the grill in. I'll also try and get the hood on. So at least that kind of stuff is, buttoned up for now. So, work in progress. We still got a lot to do. So that's it for tonight. Just wanted to update on how the afternoon and evening went. So that's the way we're leaving it tonight. All right, well, again, as per the usual arrangement, it's like 3 days later and I'm back out here in the garage. Gave me some time to think more about steering situation. I would absolutely love to put a rack and pinion in this, but I just don't have the time to add that modification. Also don't have the budget to add that modification. So, we've cut and hacked as much of this car away as we possibly can, everything that's bad. If you come over here and you look at our fender, you can see how this one's good here, and you see that one's poking out a little bit this direction. That's, of course, because it's still running into the frame here. And I'm going to have to turn the steering box around, put it back in its real location. So I had drawn these lines on here before, just as an estimate. So first things first, it's a budget project. I'm doing the best I can with it. I've never done anything like this before as far as chassis swaps. So I'm making it up as I go, number one. Number two, this car is totally hacked apart anyways. You've seen the previous videos with all the fiberglass and everything that's in here, having to redo the entire floor, getting rid of the original chassis. So cutting this little notch out of a fender, although it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. This does appear to be metal. It is pretty, it's not like it's pretty metal. I mean, this thing is rusty and crusty. There's bits and pieces falling out of it. So yeah, I get it. I mean, it hurts my feelings to kind of cut what's left of sheet metal on this thing, but I think it is something that we're just going to have to be willing to sacrifice for forward progress. So I'm going to cut this so we can bring this fender down. I did throw the grill in there before, looked pretty sweet. So I think it's going to look awesome. It'll look a little bit weird with the steering box poking through here, but hey, such is life. So might as well quit bitching and moaning about it and actually just make the cut and be done with it. All right, well, after a little bit of struggle bus, we got this cut. This is poking out. I'm gonna have to trim this area here around my steering gearbox so this can come over, and then clamp these two together so that this is straight, and then we can put the grill in and get a look at it. So we're gonna have to work on some camouflage here. I'm sure there's people out there who are just gonna internet hate on this, but it's my car. I'm doing it on a budget as fast as I can, and I'm learning as I go. So let's do it. All right, well, here's the fender as it sets. I just put it on the ground. It'll actually go down like an inch more, again, because when we're on the lift, I can't get the frame all the way down, so it'll drop a little bit more. So I was thinking we could camouflage that steering box there. We'll take that piece of metal that I cut out and we'll build something that goes over the front of it. This is the first I got the grill in there. I just have it friction fit in there. I have no idea how it actually secures into those fenders. Probably have to work something out there, but I'm gonna go grab the hood because I can throw that on there. It's just in primer. Unfortunately, it doesn't match the patina of the car, so we're gonna have to work on that. But I just wanted to get it on the ground, kind of see what it looks like here when we're pretty close to ride height. So I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. Yeah, bit of an eyesore with the steering box sticking out there, but such is life. Part of the character of the build. So I think it's gonna look pretty badass when all is said and done. We'll have a bumper up there too, covering that up. So let me grab the hood and we'll throw it on here, see what we can do with that. Actually kind of looks halfway like a car when you put the hood on there and the fenders, so that's cool. You can see that this is just some old primer of some sort. I just have them sitting on there. I realized that these latches, there's some fasteners or something, that there's a mechanism inside there that's supposed to grab to hold the hood down, which it does not, so we're gonna have to figure that out. So I think before we close this video out, I'm gonna throw the doors on there just so we can get a look-see what kind of car we're gonna look like we're having here. I think it looks pretty cool. I mean, that's just my opinion because I've been working on it and it kind of feels good to make some progress. So what I'll do here is I gotta clean up and we're gonna throw the doors on there, maybe not tonight, maybe another night, just because, you know, if I only get a half an hour to work on it, I get a half an hour to work on it. So I'm gonna work on those, maybe a little bit of patina, try and match the gray charcoaly rusty color, and we'll reconvene some other time. So that's it for today, but hey man, I like it. All right, so what we got here is the hood. This is the driver's side. There's some really crappy welding done here. Somebody tried to patch that at some point, clearly. At least it's coated in primer. It's all metal. This is the first part of the car that's all metal. This side just has some brown primer on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scuff this side up and we're gonna put some paint on this. And looking at the car, there clearly was some, I mean, paint was brushed on. There's some gray, there's some brown. The brown is rust, but then there's some black, and I don't know, it's a mix and match. So we're gonna try and get as close to that as we can on the hood. So basically what I've done in the past, sand it down, we'll apply some paint, we let that dry, we sand it down, we apply some more paint. Then to get some of the patina, the rust on there, I'll sand it so there's some spots with bare metal. We'll take some grinder, basically some metal chips and flakes from grinding and cutting. We spray the thing with some peroxide and vinegar, and then you put those sprinkles on there. It rusts instantly, even if we get some drips and runs from that. The worse the better, but it'll keep the integrity of the metal and it'll just look like we're getting a pretty close match to the car. So right now I'm gonna sand this down. Actually, what I might do is I'll fix that piece of metal first. I'll fix that piece of metal, then I'll flip it over, start sanding and doing the rest of it. So, all right, let's get after it. Well, this turned into a little more than I thought I was gonna get into. Both sides of this were totally rotted on this support here. So I cut the metal off, ground it down, put some weld through primer on there. I had tacked in a
split a piece there so I could weld this bracket to there because that was all rotted out, and so is this one. So it's fixed now, but you know, I didn't realize it was going to take that long. I would have recorded the whole thing, but I mean, anyways, fixed. Let's move on. So we're going to take this, flip it over, and we'll start doing some patina work on it. All right, here you go. So this is our first go round. Have not put any of the metal shavings on it, have not done the peroxide and vinegar, but I think if you look at it, you know, this Doghouse was the cleanest part besides the hood, and I think we got it matching pretty well. Obviously a ton of rust and patina on the fenders. We can improve the appearance of the roof to kind of, the hood to match that, but you know, kind of scraped it up a little bit. You can see some of the primer through there, some of the body filler that they had there. So we get that a little bit dirty. We put a little bit of rust on it. I think it's going to match pretty well. It'll be a lot more dull when I get some more dust on there, that's for sure. So what we're going to work on next, I've got the pieces that I cut out when I was notching that to fit around the frame rails, and we're going to try and box this in here because I'm sure that there's a lot of people who are really mad about me doing that to the fender. Hey man, that's the way it goes, building a RatRod. So we're doing it on a budget. So I'm just gonna put together some patches here, and it'll look like a little bit of a wart maybe there on the front of that fender, but I think hiding that some will help a little bit. So that's what I'm gonna work on now before it gets a little too late after 9, but we're still going. So let's get rolling. Well, welcome back to my very inconsistent work schedule on the car here. So last time got the hood painted, scuffed it up a little bit. I'm going to do some more patina work on that. I'm boxing in this thing here, a little arts and crafts moment. Kind of looks terrible. I'm not sure I like it, but I might apply it here, weld it on. It's just metal. If I don't like it, I can cut it off and do something else. But I just wanted to do something a little bit there to cover up where that steering box is poking through the fender. Kind of have to live with it the way it is. I'm not going to spend a ton of time trying to make this look nice, but at least I'm going to try covering it with bits and pieces that I have left over from what I cut out on the car. So basically, this is an experiment. Might be a huge waste of time. I don't know. Just trying to make the best of what we got. So what I'm going to do today is work on that and then scrape this up. That'll probably do for this week, and we'll pop the video out on the weekend. So I don't know, we're getting there one little bit at a time. Oh, by the way, I looked up the hinge doodads, the latches for the hood on this. 2 latches just for the front here, $100. Just for a little tiny tab of metal, it's about that big, that goes on the fender. So when you turn the handle, the latch mechanism has something to grab. So we're gonna have to come up with something for that too. Well, I got to tell you, I'm here at the end of a fairly unsatisfactory night of work. So I did finish my thing here. You can see my, my little wart sticking out of the fender there. I don't know, it does the job, it covers it up. I'll bring you in closer so you can see what it is. But I mean, basically we got it on there, kind of, whatever. It is what it is. Let me flip the camera around. I'll show you. Yeah, here you go. So you can see what I did. I just built a little box basically to go around where the power steering gearbox is. Kind of sticks out there like a wart or sore thumb. I tried to use all the metal. Well, it is actually all the metal from cutting out the Doghouse. So this was the bit of the fender that I cut out, and I just used these other pieces and I welded it up. I didn't record any of that because, well, I didn't know how it was going to turn out, and I really didn't want to document this adventure. So if anybody has comments, what you think I should do there, I would appreciate it. I mean, aside from switching to a power steering rack, a Mustang 2, something or other, just don't have the budget, don't have the time to do it. So we're making do. Maybe I can cut that off later. I just have a couple tacks on there. If people have comments, you have a better solution, I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comments. What I'm going to do the rest of the night is I'm just going to sand this up a little bit so we can get some more patina on the hood. And that's going to kind of wrap it up for this week. So yeah, let me know about comments. I'm going to sand that up, get it rusty. And I guess this will be me signing off. Let me know what you think. All right, well, I promise this is going to be the last update for this particular video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spray that stuff with some of the peroxide vinegar solution. I'm going to throw the doors on, the rear fenders on, and pull this outside just so I can kind of get a visualization of what I think it'll look like, and then make a final decision about this ugly thing here. I don't know, I could run it with nothing over the steering gearbox. I could run it with that thing on there. I could take that off, maybe just put a cap right on the frame. So I don't know, a lot of possibilities. Comment, let me know what you think. So we're gonna rustify this here instantaneously, pull it outside, and wrap up this video. So give me a couple minutes and we'll be done. Well, just because this video is totally random mashup, got the wheel off, got the fender on, and I did this. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen this trick before. If you want to paint a rim real quick, old deck of cards, keeps your tire clean. I just put some matte black on there. It's still a little bit shiny because it hasn't dried yet, but little trick. There you go. I don't know, maybe you learned something from that. So I'm going to throw this back on, and then we're going to wheel it out so we can get a look at it. All right, well, if you made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it. You can see I struggled here. This actually took me an hour to get it out and laying where it is because my casters on my dollies suck terribly. So if anybody has suggestions for some good ones, I'd appreciate it. You can see we got it on the ground here, laying the frame. Got to build some running boards. That'll really make that thing tighten up, and I think it'll look awesome. I think that overall, super duper satisfied with it. Xena wants to join the show this week. And what we got to do is a lot more. We got to finish the floor on the inside. The fenders, I need to make some braces up front. I got to put the bumpers on. We got to put the brakes in. We got to do the steering. We got to do all the electrical. So yeah, it's a work in progress, but I think it looks pretty damn awesome. So there's a lot of work that went into getting it this far, and there's a lot more to finishing it. And we have about a month to go. So I appreciate everybody coming back, checking it out. If you got comments, I really do appreciate it. When people make comments, helps me build this thing. And, I'm going to have to get a lot of work done this next week. So if you got comments, like I said, I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.